Fresh intrigue on the expected full House vote on Wednesday. So will there be defections? Vulnerable Democrats in Trump districts feeling the heat, certainly on impeachment. One House Democrat already going on record saying he will oppose it. Let's go to NBC national political reporter Josh Lederman right now. So, Josh, with a welcome to you. So there are these reports out there that the House Democrats are bracing for some defections in next week's vote. Where does all this the coming vote stand right now? Do we have a read on who's going where?
Key point here, Alex, is that Republicans will get their desired talking point of being able to say that there's bipartisan opposition to the impeachment vote, because we now know that at least one of the vulnerable Democrats, that's Jeff Van Drew of New Jersey, has said he will vote against the impeachment articles. Now, how many more Democrats will defect? We are still waiting to find out, but we have been every day asking all 43 of the identified vulnerable members who could potentially go either way on impeachment how they plan to vote. We now know that 17 of those 43 do plan to vote for impeachment. That one Democrat, Van Drew, planning to vote against it. And another 13, Alex, are either undecided or unknown and will be making up their decision in the next coming days.
Are there any Republicans who might cross the aisle and vote to impeach the president, Josh?
Very unlikely. We've been hearing that it's possible that there could be a couple Republican defections, but probably not. And Republicans are not going to want to have any ability for Democrats to say that the vote to impeach him had Republicans with it. So we know there'll be a lot of pressure from Republicans on those members not to defect and to stick with their party to show a united front in support of the president.
But on the other side of the aisle, Democrats, the House whip is not going to try to campaign for yes votes. Is that correct?
Not in any formal sense. The Democrats have said, look, we can have some defections here. We are still going to get our impeachment vote, because remember, they need 17 Democrats to defect in order for the vote to fail. That's not going to happen. And Democrats are also key on not putting too much pressure on some of their members that could help some of them lose next year. So we don't think that Democrats are going to do a formal whip operation to try to get their members in line on this.
And then as we look ahead to the Senate trial, I know you've been covering Mitch McConnell and his indications. We've got Senator Lindsey Graham as well making indications the trial is going to be short. Is that pretty much a guarantee? Is that what you're hearing?
Some of this is still being worked out between the White House and the Senate, because they've been at odds on this, frankly. White House officials have been saying publicly they wanted to bring witnesses. They wanted to put all this out there in the open. Republicans making clear, as Hans was alluding to, that they would like to get this over with in the Senate and off their plate as quickly as possible. But we know that Mitch McConnell has been meeting with Pat Cipollone, the White House counsel who will be representing Trump in the trial, and has said publicly that they will basically defer to what the White House wants. So that's a pretty good indication that if the president wants a trial, he'll get a trial.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.